Hello everyone, I'm Mark Suxford and I want to welcome you all to my new podcast called People Behind Brands, brought to you by Making Websites Better. Throughout the series, I'll be opening up my little black book of contacts where I'll be joined by an inspirational guest from the world of business, getting to the bottom of what made them so successful. In each episode, I'll be touching upon the highs and the lows that every professional has faced along the way. To never miss an episode, subscribe to our exclusive content now and follow us on our social media platforms. People Behind Brands. Life lessons from the world of business. Bonded by blood. Together in business. Natalie Reynolds and Lexi Panayi have co-founded Style Cheat, a womenswear fashion empire that is growing rapidly. The ladies talk to us openly about their life lessons from the world of business, including Natalie's stint on Series 9 of The Apprentice with none other than Lord Sugar. If you're a lady who's into fashion or wanting to find out more about the dynamics of a family-run business, working with celebrities and actively listening to their clients, this is the one for you. Let's find out why these sisters are doing it for themselves. Ladies, welcome to the show. How are you both doing today?
Yeah, we're really good, thank you. Nice to be here.
Good, excellent. So where can we find you today? It looks like you're both in an office somewhere.
Yeah, we're just in our office, just North London.
Yeah, excellent. So as our previous double header with Ryan and Steve a few weeks ago, today's show is a little different with two guests in a hot seat. So a lot of our guests have been men recently, so it's good to add more #women in business to our Hall of Fame. I'm delighted to be joined by Natalie and Lexi as we discuss their journey through life, business and their women's wear fashion label Style Cheat. But more than that, they are sisters fulfilling a lifelong dream, fronting their own growing fashion empire. So first question, ladies, let's get straight to the heart of it. First and foremost, you are sisters. So how would you describe one another and what your sister means to you? So let's start with you, Natalie.
Okay, so I mean, my sister means absolutely everything to me. I know as cheesy as that may sound, couldn't imagine my life without her. I think Lexi's really hardworking, loyal, very motivated and driven. She's my best friend, and couldn't imagine doing this without her.
What about you, Lexi? What's your thoughts on Natalie?
So I would say she's really passionate about whatever she does. And I think that's really inspiring.
Yeah.
She definitely always wants to be the best, and definitely a true leader. Will never give up. Anything she does. Yeah, she always wants to be the best, won't ever give up on anything. She, I would say, is probably definitely the risk taker out of us both. Which is a good thing. She can be quite spare of the moment sometimes, whereas probably I'm a little bit more maybe methodical, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it's good because I feel like in business especially, you need a balance of kind of both of those things.
Yeah, so we talk about that balance there of life and work. So obviously you work together pretty much day in, day out. So how do you kind of sort of see that from, a business relationship and obviously the family relationship?
I think it's actually quite hard for us to kind of have a regular kind of normal relationship because we never really seem to switch off from, I personally don't manage to switch off from work. So our relationship runs parallel, doesn't it? We kind of socialize outside of work, but then we're always kind of discussing work, talking about work. It's just kind of, just all as one.
Yeah, so family is always a big part of many people's drive to succeed. So talk to us about some of the relationships you both have with your family and how they have supported you on your individual journeys.
I think we both agree that our dad is the driving force behind our motivation and our reason, to succeed. He left school at 14 and had 3 jobs. And actually, he's probably the most inspirational business person I know. And I've met quite a few of those. And our mum has been a huge help to me just with the kids and, having to kind of balance that family life and work life, especially in, the first kind of couple of years of the business. It's just been so full on that I've needed all that whole support network, with my family. And so our mum and dad have just been a massive help.
I think I'd completely agree with that. And I think, like Nat said, we both really look up to our dad as inspiration. And I think he's kind of installed that work ethic into us that we both have, just kind of seeing that in him. And I think as well, the rest of the family, I think sometimes it's hard to find, it's quite rare to find a family that kind of all work together. I mean, I say that like our mum comes in and helps, our dad's here, our brother's here, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law. So it is really like a big family affair, which I think is actually really nice. And I think it's kind of like we all help each other, don't we? So it's really nice to have that, and nice to bounce ideas off of each other as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think family businesses can be really successful, and you're all singing off the same hymn sheet, if you like, as well. So that's pretty good. But Style Cheat was founded in 2019, where you are both co-founders and directors of the company. So how do your roles at the company differ, or what do they involve on a daily basis?
I think they started off, when we launched, they started off quite differently. Lexi was in charge of all the product that we would be selling, and I was more on like the marketing and operations side. And it was quite different. They were quite kind of focused, but I think slowly as we've grown, our roles have kind of become similar. We're both kind of focused on driving the business forward. So at the moment, we do have a very kind of like a high level kind of view of everything of what's going on, and our roles don't differ too much, do they?
No. And like you said, I guess I'm probably more product focused. So like with our sister-in-law who works here, Steph, she kind of manages the buying side of all the product, and I'll kind of sit in those meetings, look over the ranges, check that we've kind of got all areas covered. Whereas I guess you maybe handle more of like the advertising, don't you? Like the SEO, the Google, Facebook.
So I've got a closer eye on that. But we do kind of sign everything off together. We kind of work much more as kind of one, both of us now, kind of driving the business forward.
And I think that's really good as well. And I think there's definitely areas of a business where you kind of need to all get involved, like finance, for example, is something that we definitely do together with our brother mainly as well. He's got a good eye on that, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's very,
Okay. In terms of sort of company USP then, so why would you say that women should come to, Style Cheat rather than high street stores or online brands? Talk to us about the successful fashion brand and the type of clothing that you kind of sell.
Yeah, so I think online retailers sometimes can kind of have a little bit of a bad reputation especially for quality. And I think the really good thing that we hear from our customers is just how they're always so pleasantly surprised with the quality. Which I think is so good for us, because when we set up Style Cheat, we really wanted to make sure that kind of quality was at the focus of what we were doing. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a background of the business, our family business was in producing clothes for the high street. So we kind of own our own factories in Morocco and Romania. So we used to produce for the likes, or still do, produce for the likes for kind of like Karen Millen, Jigsaw. So as a family business, we've always been really hot on quality. So I think that really comes through with Style Cheat. And I just think with quality, it kind of comes, we always say cost per wear, don't we? Like, we don't just want the customer to wear our clothes once. And I think that is what hopefully comes across in the styles that we do. Like we've got our best-selling Daphne shirt dress that we kind of show the customer as well on like social media how she can wear it. She could wear it over a swimming costume, or she could wear it as like a shirt dress or a duster over a pair of jeans and like a t-shirt. And I think you can always like dress our dresses up or down.
And that's something we feel quite passionately about, like with the whole sustainability element.
Definitely.
There's such a bad reputation for like throwaway fashion and wear it once, get snapped on social media, but actually now it's a lot cooler to kind of rewear your clothes and think different and more interesting ways to wear them. And so that's something again at kind of like the forefront of our mind when we're looking at kind of our product.
Okay, so you recently launched your first celebrity range with Chloe Lewis, formerly of The Only Way Is Essex, so which has recently elevated the Style Cheat brand even further. So would you say this is something the brand will look to do more in the future?
Yeah, definitely. I think we will definitely be doing a lot more celeb edits. But one thing is we're really picky with who we want, and there's loads and loads of influencers, but they've got to be right for the brand, and that's something we feel really strongly about. And Chloe was perfect. She fits our customer to a T, doesn't she?
Yeah, I think it's definitely key that I think, like Nat said, we have a person that really connects with our customer, and I think that genuinely has a love for Style Cheat. I think that's really important to us. And we did, didn't we? We asked our customers who did they want to see us work with, who did they want to see us collab with? And I think for us to listen to our customers is really key. But yeah, Chloe was a great fit, and definitely definitely more for the future.
Natalie, our listeners may recognise you from Series 9 of The Apprentice. So talk to us about that particular experience and how that changed your life.
I wouldn't say it changed my life as much. I think it changed my perspective on things. It put me back in my cage a few times. When I say that, I mean, I think everyone goes in there thinking that they're this hard-nosed business person, and no one is really prepared for so many other strong people kind of fighting against each other. And because of that, it's rare that people actually work together on a task. And I found that really hard. Everyone wants to kind of shine and be that person who wins it for the team and, gets that glory. But that's not real, and that's not teamwork, and that's not how the real world works. And I think everything on there is a bit distorted. And obviously, it's a TV show. They need to make things, look a certain way. But you kind of go in there, and I think as a viewer, you go in there expecting something and thinking I can do this, but the reality is the way that it's kind of set up, it just makes it very difficult.
I suppose you're kind of under some sort of agreement not to really kind of talk too much about it while it's being recorded, I suppose.
Yeah, you're in an NDA, and actually it's recorded, I'd say a year. Well, it was like 8 months to a year before it's aired.
Right.
So that's a long time to kind of not be able to talk about anything and not be able to let people know. I mean, I couldn't even let people know that I was obviously on the show. And I was in a working environment. I was at a big recruitment company at the time. So I was obviously allowed to tell my boss, but then we had to make up a story that I was getting called for jury service, because really that, and the cast, the whole team kind of give you ideas of, what you can tell people, and, because otherwise you're just going to disappear off the face of the earth for, a month or 3 if you're lucky.
Yeah. So in terms of working with Lord Sugar, we've already spoken to Andrew Block, which is obviously his essentially his right hand man in terms of PR stuff. So, what's it like to essentially work for Lord Sugar? Being in the same sort of room as him, and obviously being on the show.
Yeah, I think it was it's not as I imagined it to be, because I thought you'd kind of get, when the cameras switch off, it would be a bit of downtime and he'd just be, normal self, kind of maybe laughing and joking a bit with us, but it wasn't. It was very, very professional. It was, he only spoke to you in the boardroom, and actually it was very real. I think the boardroom was the only real thing really about the show. He's a very intelligent guy, very, very clever, but I still never really saw a different side to him than anyone else sees, I guess, when they're watching the show.
Yeah, so there's obviously lots of popular people from Series 9. So do you sort of still speak to, the people that was on the show?
Yeah, I'm really good friends with Leah and Louisa. Leah won the show.
Yeah.
She's got her clinics, which do really well. And Louisa, she actually only lives about 10-15 minutes from our work. So yeah, we often meet up. We included her we did a launch with her, didn't we, just before lockdown?
Valentine's Day edit, which was really good.
Yeah, so it was really nice to kind of be working with her. But yeah, we socialise, but they're the only two actually that I speak to.
Yeah, so despite the pandemic being incredibly hard on the majority of companies in the UK, you had the idea to launch your own range of face masks using clothing fabric, which proved very successful. So talk to us about that, and obviously some of the challenges you experienced in multiple lockdowns.
Yeah, I think the challenges we faced were obviously staff. I think like everyone, we had to look after our staff. So a lot of people were working from home where they could. So we decided as a family that we would be in picking, packing, fulfilling the orders. And I think one of the other kind of challenges that we faced, we had gone from working out how we were going to ship, say, 50 orders a day, to then working out how we were going to ship over 5,000 in a day, especially after we were featured on like the ITV 6 o'clock news, which was amazing. But we didn't have the infrastructure set up, so we were learning like on the job, and it was just a massive learning curve. But obviously so grateful for the opportunity that it's given us, and we were able to like rescue our business. Weren't we?
Yeah, I think at the time of the pandemic as well, we all kind of like everyone, they felt a little bit hopeless, didn't they? And I think we kind of thought, what can we do to help? And we had been left with all of this fabric from kind of cancelled orders. And I think it was kind of our way, in a way, to kind of give back, because we set up kind of like a bit of a campaign where it was for every face mask sold, we would donate a medical grade mask to frontline workers. I mean, we were out, weren't we, together, like delivering like outside of care homes, delivering like medical grade masks. And I think it's just, it was good for the business, of course, but then it kind of gave you that you could help, you could do something.
That was important to understand how we could help and how we could, make a difference to people.
Yeah, it sort of sounds as if you've, had this period with the pandemic, and you've used it to your advantage, not only from a business point of view, but you've gone out there and done something nice for people as well, which is always nice. So but for you both personally, how did you cope in lockdown, not seeing the rest of your family or not seeing each other? What kind of impact did COVID have on you two?
Well, I think we're lucky as we work as a family. Yeah. So, and we had to be in work, and we were making PPE. We're key workers, so we would all see each other at work. But I think it was like hard for the children not seeing our parents, like the grandparents, or not seeing my husband's family. We struggled with that a lot, but obviously FaceTime and all Zoom calls and stuff like that.
Quizzes.
So, quizzes were, actually, I was really used to look forward to a quiz on a Friday night. Even though I'm terrible at them. But I think all of that kind of thing, it just became the norm, didn't it? And we realised, doesn't it? I think everyone's kind of come away from this and realised just actually how important all of that is, and hopefully it's kind of just made us all realise and want to spend more time together and see each other more and not worry so much about the little things, I guess. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, as you say, it's kind of, you do realise what's most important, I suppose, after what sort of happened over the last 18 months, really. But the aim of this podcast is to focus on the more testing times that we all go through at some point along the way. So from a personal point of view, what have been some of the setbacks that have impacted you? Let's start with you, Lexi, followed by Natalie.
Goodness, some of the setbacks, I guess for me it was probably the frustration that maybe things don't happen overnight. I think I kind of always used to think, we've got this good product, amazing product, it's at the right price, the quality's great. And I couldn't understand why we probably weren't selling more of it. And I think I'm an impatient person, aren't I guess. And it was just, you do come to realise, I think, that things take time. And we would go through and we'd always have these talks and we'd call each other every night and be like, we've got this set up, and it's kind of like going through a checklist, like, okay, so your Facebook ads are working, your Google's up, your SEO's done, your email marketing's okay, the product's there, the price, and it just, I think you realise that it does take time. Yeah, and we were looking for the missing link, weren't we? But then we realised that time actually is the missing link. The missing link, and just learning as you go. You make mistakes and you just have to learn from them. And then, I think that is probably, the frustration of things not happening straight away is still probably the hardest thing. And I think for me, the balance between work and family is something that I've struggled with, kind of from a personal point of view. But it's really important for me, like I would always do the school drop off every day, so my working day starts at 9:30, and that's something I won't compromise on. Like, I'm always going to drop my kids off at school, but then it's like knowing when to switch off. So when I'm kind of with the girls, or kind of talking to my kids, talking to them, giving them my time, not to look at my emails, if an email comes through, and not to action it straight away, just kind of their time, and just having that split. And I think that's something that I really struggle with, but it's something I'm working on. I'll often message in our work group saying, right, I'm not working today, guys, just call me if you need me, if it's urgent. And I just will try not to, look at my phone, because the girls pick up on that as well. And they're like, mummy, put the phone down. And it's just that kind of tugs on your heartstrings. And so that's, a big thing that I've kind of struggled with.
In terms of achievements as a business, but also as individuals yourselves, what are you most proud of, and what would you say are your big plans for the future?
I would say, as a business, I'm most proud of the speed in which we reacted to the pandemic. That could have been a very, very different story. And I think the hard work and the efforts of everyone in the business actually saved our business. And not only saved it, actually, I feel like it parachuted it forward 3 years on, with the data and everything kind of that we managed to get. And I think personally, I'm proud of that we have both learned to like hand over and let subject matter experts take over, because I think when something's your baby and you've been working on it for so long, it's really hard to hand things over. But you know, someone told us once, didn't they, we've got to be in charge of steering the ship. We can't do everything, because if we try and do everything, there's a lot of people that are much better at doing those things than us. We have to hand it over, and we're control freaks, and I think that's really hard for, you know, people to do, but we've started doing that now, which is good, and it's a bit of a relief, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. And I think I'm just so proud of the growth that I think we've had in under 3 years of Style Cheat, and with no outside investment, and with relatively kind of quite a small team, really. And I think just, our growth in terms of like Style Cheat's now stocked on our own website, stylecheat.com, on ASOS and Next, who are like massive players in the game. And also we've now expanded to the Middle East as well, which has been amazing. They're having kind of like record sales, aren't they, with Style Cheat? So that's really good. Big plans, I guess, just growing our presence on social media. And working on more key collaborations, and also product ranges. We're going to try and launch a curve range as well.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Cool. So from away from the world of work, what do you both like to get up to in your personal time? Have you got any hobbies, interests, or other commitments that fulfill your time away from business?
Well, for me, I'm big into family time. I spend the weekends just doing stuff with my husband and the girls. And, you know, it's just full up of clubs, really, taking them to tennis, to dancing, you know, this and that, to kids' party. There's a kids' party every other week. When we're not, I like to go to London shopping and sushi and
What about yourself, Lexi?
So I think I don't have children currently, so I don't have any of kind of that sort of stuff to do. So I guess I love traveling. I mean, it's been quite hard, obviously, the last year not being able to go away, but just traveling to new places. I think that's my time where I can kind of really switch off, and then kind of normal things, really. I guess I like cooking, baking, gardening. I got really into gardening, growing, you know, courgettes, things like that. Reading, you know, just the normal things, really, kind of things that really help us switch off, I guess, from the day-to-day of work.
So if there's one life lesson from each of you that you could give to your younger self or someone starting out and wanting to benefit from your knowledge and experience, what would it be? So Natalie, let's go with you first.
I do get asked this a lot, actually, and it's only recently that I feel I can actually answer this honestly and wholeheartedly. And I think it would be, when you start out, you think you know what you have to do from get from A to B, but it's not until you actually start something and you're living and breathing it that you truly know where B is, because B, when you first started, was somewhere really achievable. And then it keeps moving and it keeps getting further away as your goals and expectations move. And so I think it's only by learning and making mistakes that you can actually get there. So that would be one. I know you actually only asked me for one, but if I'm allowed to say one more, which I've just realised, someone actually said to me something, and I've never actually forgotten it, and it's become a bit of a motto in the office, and it's something that we tell all the staff, and that is to cause yourself a problem and then look for the solution. And what we mean by that is to get too busy that you need to hire someone, or you run out of all the free trials before you invest and buy the real thing, or get everyone working to their full capacity doing their own jobs before you find a system to automate things. And I think that's really important, and we've actually got that up on the wall, and it's just something that when someone will come to us like with a bit of an issue, or just say, what can we'll just go back to that, and it's like, well, this is the thing, max yourself out and then let's look at the solution, call yourself a problem, and then and I think that stops you making mistakes and spending money where you might not need to, and stuff like that.
So what's your thoughts then, Lexi? What would be your life lesson?
I would probably say, I think, celebrate the little wins. I think, you're always kind of like focused on the next step. As business people, I think you're always looking, what's next, or you hit a target and you're like, okay, but, what about this now? And I think actually take a step back and actually just think like, actually, that's amazing. We said we were going to achieve this and we just have. I think as well, we're all very big into kind of like manifesting, aren't we? Putting something, always writing down your goal, looking at them before you go to bed at night. and just really focusing on that. And probably, I think, enjoy downtime. I think don't be so, and I try and say this to Nat a lot, you know, we are constantly working and our mind is constantly on Style Cheat, but, you know, try and step away and actually enjoy the other things in life. So I am getting better at that. She is definitely getting better at that, but I think that's just really important as well.
Yeah, it's like we said at the top of the show, you know, you have to have that balance of work and life, I suppose. But, you know, ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure hearing all about you, how strong your bond is, your experiences and passion for your business. So perhaps you might like to tell the listeners where they can find Style Cheat in store or online.
Yes. So we're just online at the moment in the UK. So yes, stylecheat.com, quite an easy one to remember.
Excellent. So you're on social media as well, is that right?
Yeah, we are. Just at Style Cheat on Instagram and Facebook. You can start. Yeah, you can kind of see loads of little styling videos on there, and kind of like tips how to wear. Yeah. So yes,
and message. Yeah, message us on there and we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Excellent. So if you're a lady who enjoys looking good and into the latest fashion trends, please give Style Cheat your attention. My thanks to Natalie and Lexi for another fantastic episode. Join us next time for a brand new episode as we explore more life lessons from the world of business.
So that's it for this episode of People Behind Brands. I'd love to hear from you all, so if you want to get in touch, follow us on our social media platforms. If you like what you heard, please rate and subscribe to our exclusive content now. Join us next time for a brand new guest on the podcast as we explore yet more life lessons from the world of business. We'll see you soon. Ta-da!